I know. I don't get it. Especially Texas. Some of these guys from Texas are hard. That's like, you're gone in 6 years.
Exactly. It's not 26, it's 6.
I think it's going to be the next presidential election. I think it's going to happen. It's just.
Oh, it will happen. It's just so frustrating right now because every time we get a hard-line Republican vote, we lose people who would support us for another 10 years.
Well, that's why I like Jeff Bush because he said, I'm not going to be the same guy in the primary as AJ.
Yeah, and he can win with that if he pursues it thoroughly enough, long enough.
That's right.
Now, Bill Comfort has been a Bush supporter.
Good.
Craig Duchessois rallied me, and of course Lisa got all over.
Oh, yeah.
How do I say no to Lisa?
Exactly. Hey, good to see you. How have you been? Everything all right?
My healthcare, she's been pushing.
You're gonna get some budget issues coming, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, let's stay in touch. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. Sounds good. Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Oh, we got a good crowd. There's the Archbishop sitting.
Think he's still mingle?
John, how are you? Hey, Rebecca, how are you? Good to see you.
Yes, just for this week.
I didn't realize we have opening remarks. Okay.
One we were born before the issue.
Gentlemen?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. 大家早 is Rebecca Shi, and I'm the Executive Director of the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition. Thank you so much for coming to Moving Forward Sensible Immigration Reform 2015. I am so pleased to welcome our wonderful host for today's event, Father Michael Caruso of St. Ignatius College Prep, to give us a welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the St. Ignatius College Prep community, our students, our nearly 20,000 alumni, parents, administration, faculty, and staff, I welcome you to our school. Archbishop Cupich, Father Holzschneider, Governor Rauner, Senator Kirk, Congressman Shaw, Congressman Kissinger, Dole, members of the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition, friends, one and all, welcome to St. Ignatius. The city of Chicago honored our founder of this school and Holy Family Church, an immigrant from Holland, Father Arnold Damon, by naming an important thoroughfare after him in gratitude for his vision and contributions for all Chicagoans from all faiths. He founded St. Ignatius College Prep and Holy Family Church to be beacons of hope to immigrants from Ireland and many others who followed from Europe and many other countries around the globe. St. Ignatius and Holy Family have stayed the course of offering opportunities through faith and education to all who come here. It is most appropriate that you gather here today for this forum. Perhaps the greatest challenge is whether we can convince ourselves that with God's good grace, we do indeed have the intelligence, compassion, and fortitude to see our immigration. One and all.
Thank you so much, Father Caruso. Next, Father Dennis Holzschneider, President of DePaul University and IBIC Steering Committee member, will lead us in prayer.
Good morning. It's never been lost on me that the three great Abrahamic faiths began in unplanned dislocation. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, fled for his safety to Medina from Mecca. Two young parents fled to Egypt to protect the life of their child, Jesus. And an entire Jewish people wandered 40 years through the desert in search of a homeland. With the proud exception of America's native peoples, our ancestors too left the safety of home, driven by famine or a few prospects for work, or perhaps even against their wills into slavery, or as infants who had never known another homeland. Whether by religion or by family, nearly all of us are the children of the dislocated. And so, please join me in prayer. To you, who gave us life and gave us this good earth, and then entrusted both to our care, make us worthy of that trust. Help us to see the world through the eyes of our neighbors. Give us hearts that can feel the wrenching decision to leave the familiarity of home. Help us to treat others as we ourselves would want to be treated were we in their place. If you give us only that, it will be enough. We pray this of you, whose heart encompasses all, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Father Dennis. To introduce the purpose of today's meeting, please welcome Sam Scott and Raul Ramundo, IBIC co-chairs.
Thank you, Becca. My name is Sam Scott, as Becca said. I'm retired chairman and CEO of Corn Products International, today known as Ingredion. Also, one of the co-chairs of IBIC, and very proud to be part of this organization. I want to welcome today, again, our new Archbishop to Chicago, Archbishop Cupich. Our new Republican Governor of Illinois, Governor Rauner. members of the Illinois delegation, the Republican delegation in Illinois, Senator Kirk, and Congressman Shah, Kissinger, and Dole. The Illinois Business Immigration Coalition is a true coalition with a true intention. Our steering committee includes major corporations, trade associations for high-skilled and low-skilled industries, tech companies, universities, and major Latino, Asian, and ethnic business leaders and ethnic chambers of the state. We have prominent Republicans like John Rowe, my friend, William is not my friend, but William Kolkner, Ron Gidwitz, and some new Republicans like Zeke Flores. And I just learned a new term this morning from Josh. He said we have some yellow dog Democrats like Josh Holt and Sam Toya. Now, I won't explain to you what he told me a yellow dog Democrat is, but it's a pretty strong Democrat, let me assure you of that. We have new Democrats like Billy Lawless, and people in the middle pretty much like Raul and myself. Getting an eclectic group like the IBIC to endorse anything is not easy. But we have been working together effectively over the last couple of years to press Congress for immigration reform with patience and at sometimes good humor. Other times it was not so good. We're trying to play this straight, and we're not a front for Democrats, nor are we a front for the Republican Party. We want solutions, and we want to hold both parties accountable. Now to introduce the IBIC principals, welcome one of my co-chairs, Raul Raimondo.
Thank you, Sam. I'm Raul Raimondo. I'm the CEO of the Resurrection Project and proud IBEC co-chair here. The IBEC principles are very simple. They are inclusive and straightforward. We support visa expansion for high skill and low skill and agricultural workers and a path for citizenship for the undocumented. Governor Edgar once said that immigration reform is economically sound, morally right, and politically smart, and that is the IBEC principles moving forward. While the fight for the Department of Homeland Security funding is finally over, the fight for CIR continues. We are here today to call on Congress, Speaker Boehner, Senate Majority Leader McConnell, to pass pro-immigration reform legislation to grow our economy and keep our families together. Illinois Republican leaders, we ask you to act big, to act bold, to move forward the stalemate national immigration debate. Governor Rauner, we welcome your support as an important new voice on the national immigration debate. Illinois is not one of the states that has joined the 26 others that has filed a lawsuit for the President's executive order. We invite you to become the most friendly Republican governor to enhance our global and economic competitiveness. We offer to work with you in this difficult budget climate to minimize the damage of the cuts and keep our state compassionate and competitive for all Illinoisans. Now let me explain the ground rules because we have a packed agenda. Every speaker has been told how much time they have to speak, and so there'll be a lot of time. Our timekeeper's in front of me, and they've chose the tallest, meanest Mexican immigrant to put their hand in the back when your time's up, and that is me. So I will do that. And now for the moral argument, we're going to ask Zeke Flores to come up, CEO of Flying Retail. Zeke?
Good morning, buenos dias. I'm Zeke Flores. I'm the CEO of Flying Retail. This is my father, Zeke Sr. Thank you. My company operates airport concessions. As we all know, IBIC is a coalition. Some join for economic merits of IBIC. As a businessman, I agree with those. Some come for political reasons, and my support of Governor Rauner is evidence of that. But many of us also come to IBIC because immigration reform is morally right. We must resolve the moral disaster of millions of families and children at risk of separation through deportation. My life story shows why this is one of my primary reasons for standing with you today. I grew up in Little Village on Chicago's southwest side in a close and loving Mexican family. My father, with me today, was an undocumented immigrant from Mexico. He came to the U.S. at 21 to work to support his family. He was deported several times. He said his love for his family, to make sure that his 10 siblings had food on the table, was stronger than the danger and fear of crossing the border. Later, he met the love of his life, my mother, and he became a U.S. citizen. My father was a carpenter at O'Hare, where I now operate one of the largest specialty retail portfolios with brands such as Brooks Brothers, Brighton, Brookstone. I was honored to hire my father's employer to build my stores. Next month, my wife Katie and I will have our first child. To me, this is a completion of a circle. So I speak today to honor my father. For thousands of business leaders in Illinois, immigration reform is both economically important and morally right. It is long overdue. Thank you.
And now to make the economic argument for immigration reform, President of the Illinois Farm Bureau, Rich Giebert.
Thank you very much. I'm here today to repeat that Illinois Farm Bureau stands for the kind of comprehensive immigration reform that helps to move this and our economy forward. Not only would I like to thank Senator Kirk for his vote 2 summers ago, I want to express our deep appreciation for each of the Republican congressmen with us here today. And when you're ready to act on the real solution, we've got your back. While there might be some movement this week on immigration in the House, for us, it's not the movement in the right direction. And let me explain. Pork and dairy producers, fruit and vegetable growers, and farmers who raise seed corn in Illinois all rely on undocumented immigrant workforce. These farmers want to play by the rules, but simply do not have access to a legal workforce. Nothing is more devastating to a farmer to put all their hard-earned income, labor, blood, sweat, and tears into a crop and watch it rot in a field because they can't get the crop to market. While there's no question mandatory electronic verification or E-Verify has its place in a comprehensive immigration reform, standalone E-Verify without any legislation to that would provide farmers access to legal current workforce and a new temporary worker program would damage the ability of farmers to hire an experienced, capable, and legal workforce. Our jobs pay decent competitive wages, but native-born Americans have long demonstrated their unwillingness to do the dirty jobs. Absent any ag labor reform, E-Verify would no doubt drive away agriculture's labor force and leave Illinois farmers with no options. Nor do we support an exemption for agriculture. An agriculture exemption does nothing to give us the stability in our labor force and may only cause future instability by attracting unauthorized workers to agriculture and creating potential enforcement nightmare. Only legislation creating an agricultural worker program can provide that stability. Standalone E-Verify would also have significant economic repercussions for U.S. agriculture and the consumers. The American Farm Bureau commissioned a study last year that showed an enforcement-only approach to ag labor would drive down farm asset values by 10 to 15% across the board. Drive down farm incomes 15 to 29%, and literally drive a large portion of the domestic food production out of the United States. Meanwhile, the American consumer would pay 5 to 6% more for their groceries at the grocery store. For these reasons, we are concerned about a piecemeal, enforcement-only approach to addressing our industry's goal of a legal, stable workforce. Thank you.
Finally, to make the political argument for immigration reform, we have Executive Vice President of CC Industries, Mr. William Kunkler III.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Kunkler. My wife, Susan Crown, and I met Mitt Romney 4 years ago, and we were amongst his biggest supporters both here in Illinois and across the nation. We believed Mitt was the best person to lead the country and solve the complex problems here and abroad. Mitt was middle of the road, sensible, with a solid grasp on foreign policy. However, when he uttered the self-deportation comment on immigration policy during the debates, the end result was 70% of the Latino vote and 79% of the Asian vote went for Barack Obama. And just to refresh your minds a little bit on history, George W. Bush got well over 40% of the Latino vote, and he went on to win the White House. Republicans do not need a majority of the Latino vote to win the White House, but quite frankly, 27% just won't cut it. Susan and I are supporting Jeb Bush this year, assuming he ultimately decides to run for president. He is a vocal leader on immigration reform, taking a big risk that he will have enough support from our party. He said many undocumented workers came to this country simply as an act of love for their families. I believe only Republican presidential hopefuls who embrace immigration reform stand a chance of winning the presidency in 2016. And it's also necessary for the party's long-term health. This isn't just the right issue, it's a smart issue, and it's a winning issue. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Bill. If one is going to represent the Republican end of the spectrum, it's good to have our patriarch statue up there to look at and remind ourselves that we are supposed to be people who favor free labor, free soil, and free humans. And that is the spirit that brings many of us here today. The folks who lead IBIC, including Sam and Bill and I, and Raul, all believe that the economic arguments, the political arguments, and the moral arguments come together in an obvious claim for comprehensive immigration reform, and particularly a way for the 11 million who are here to come out of the shadows and work legally. My mantra is, since when did it become conservative to tell people they can't work and pay taxes? I always thought we were trying to get people to do that. But something strange is going on. President Obama issued his executive order, which, if it is legal, does about half of the job. Many Republicans believe it exceeded his authority. It boggles my mind that instead of solving the problem the right way through congressional action, members of my party burn too much of their time and energy up on futile and sometimes foolish-looking protests. I'm very pleased to be able to say it's not that way here in Illinois. Our Governor Bruce Rauner is here to stand with us on this issue. Senator Kirk is here. Congressman Dole, Congressman Kinzinger, Congressman Chalk. I was on the phone last week with Congressman Bost from down there in what Lincoln called Egypt. He too, even the Egyptians are in favor of relieving the captivity. So We are here to make immigration reform the bipartisan effort that it should be. And with that, Donna Carroll, president of Dominican University, is going to introduce Archbishop Cupich.
Good morning. Colleagues and friends, it is my honor to introduce a newcomer to our city, but a longtime partner in our cause. He graces this assembly with a powerful conviction that immigration reform is not merely about economic necessity, but also a response to a sacred vision of families and communities fully realizing their God-given potential. Among his first words to the people of Illinois, prior to his installation as the 9th Archbishop of Chicago, he identified immigration reform as a priority for his pastoral administration. And in the few short months since he has taken office, he has been pressing the issue in every possible venue, engaging literally everyone from the people in the pews to the Republicans in Congress to the President of the United States. So please join me in welcoming to the podium a great advocate and ally, His Excellency Archbishop Blaise Cupich.
Muchas gracias por su invitación a estar aquí para discutir este tema tan importante que afecta a millones de personas y familias en nuestro país. I have a longer text in Spanish, but I'm going to stop there. And because of the time constraints, but also because I want to be very clear, this is not just about the Hispanos. This is also about many Eastern Europeans, Polish families, Asian families from across the world who are here without documentation. It's good to have all of you here, especially our elected officials, for it is an opportunity for them to hear the importance of comprehensive immigration reform from the trenches, from the people who work every day with the undocumented. Comprehensive immigration reform is not just about rights of individuals, but it's about the good of families. And because it's about the good of families, it's also about the good of neighborhoods and cities. What we have seen over the last years is that families are being split apart by deportations. And this weakens the nation's social fabric because it weakens immigrant communities. But failure to act has other consequences. I see it in the faces of young people, whether they're undocumented or not. Our young people today are losing confidence in the political process. They are our future leaders. Whether they be the youth who witness their parents being taken away from them, or the youth who become discouraged about the political process when they see leaders unable to deal with the problems of the day which impact the lives of their friends and classmates and peers, we are failing. This is not the way our nation should invest in young people, and young people know that. This is undoubtedly a very complex issue. But let's be honest about something that is seldom reported. Our country benefits from the toil, the taxes, the purchasing power of a large number of undocumented workers, 8 million in all, it is estimated. Yet we do not at the same time offer them the protections of law. The moral issue here is that we can't have it both ways. We can't exploit and use these people without honoring their God-given rights. But this issue is not just about workers who aspire for a better life for their children, but about employers, as we have heard, whose businesses create the need for these workers in the first place. To be clear, the Church supports the right of a sovereign nation to control its borders and enforce the law. We do not oppose enforcement as a general matter, but we oppose it when it violates the dignity and those values of our nation, such as due process of all and protection from persecution from those who are fleeing. Deportation-only policies not only break apart families, but negatively impact our economy that needs these workers and only keeps the undocumented in the shadows, thus making it impossible for us to really be serious about national security. Trying to block the President's executive order, which the bishops of the United States supported, and deport over 4 million people, mainly dreamers, brought to the United States as children, and the parents of American citizens, is not a serious proposal, nor an adult way to deal with this issue. This is why this month, the Catholic bishops across the country are making a renewed push for DAPA and DACA that protects millions of immigrants from deportations. We need a permanent fix by Congress. If Congress disagrees with the President's actions, then Congress should supersede them by passing comprehensive immigration reform legislation. We need to ask ourselves, as a nation, do we want to criminalize millions of persons who have built up equity in this country, worked hard and paid taxes? Do we want to deprive children of their parents' love, remove young men and women from the only country they have known, and tear the fabric of whole communities? I join my prayer to that of Pope Francis, who said, "We pray for hearts that will embrace the immigrants. God will judge us on how we have treated the most needy." This is my prayer for all of our elected representatives, as I urge you to exercise your moral leadership and pass legislation this year that regularizes the status of the undocumented and gives them a path to citizenship. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carmen Velasquez. For 26 years, I ran Alivio Medical Center, a federal community health center which consisted of 8 community health centers. In fact, in the southwest side of Chicago, a couple of miles down, and in Berwyn and Cicero, Illinois. My last day on the job was March the 7th, 2014. I am 75 years old. I'm a Democrat, a strong one. But I am here today to thank the Governor Rauner, for protecting the All Kids program, our state's health insurance program for 1.6 million low-income children, which includes our undocumented children. We thank you. They are in his budget, not excluded. Also, I would like to thank the Governor for supporting the Pact for Citizenship for the 11 million hard-working undocumented immigrants in our country, of which 525,000 are in the state of Illinois. Governor, I thank you for not joining the 25 Republicans suing President Obama over his immigrant executive action and calling that action a great start. I would like to thank Governor for standing with the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition today to try to move forward the stalemated national immigration debate. We want to invite you, Governor Rauner, to follow up a meeting with the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition to work together on immigrant needs in this difficult budget climate. I hope you accept.
I accept. I accept.
I want to live long enough, because I am 75 years old, to stand here with you, Governor Rauner, and say that you have become the governor most sensitive to the issues facing immigrant families. It is my pleasure to introduce Governor Romney.
Good morning. God bless you. Immigration is America. Our nation was built by immigrants. Illinois was built by immigrants. Chicago was built by immigrants. We are all from somewhere else. Very few of us spoke English when we arrived here. Many of us, unfortunately, suffered discrimination when we arrived. But we came for the American dream. We came for the opportunity of freedom to make a better life for our families, for our children, and for our grandchildren. My grandparents, my dad's family came from Germany. They came to Chicago in 1854. Didn't speak English. It was famous in our family for some of the discrimination. Couldn't get certain jobs because they were Catholic. You couldn't get certain jobs because you spoke German, not English. And it was common knowledge among our relatives, many of whom battled for the Union Army in the Civil War. President Lincoln had a hard time getting enough officers and enough generals who spoke German because there were so many German immigrants fighting for the Union Army during that war. My mom's family came from Sweden, late 1800s. Didn't speak English, came here for the American dream. Not many people know this, but one third of the nation of Sweden left their native country to come to the United States because of depression and famine and poverty and a chance at a better life. And Chicago, at the turn of the last century, was the largest Swedish population in the world outside of Stockholm. Today, for many years, Chicago has had the largest Polish population outside of Warsaw. The Polish community here is one of the greatest, most vibrant here in Chicago in the state of Illinois. My wife's family is Jewish. My wife's family and many of their relatives left Central Europe to escape persecution, to escape poverty, discrimination, to come to America for a chance at a better life. My running mate, Evelyn Sanguinetti, my partner, my lieutenant governor, her father came to America for the American dream. He came from Ecuador. Her mother came from Cuba to pursue a better life. We all are here to pursue the American dream. We must find a way together to get comprehensive immigration reform done and encourage immigration streamlining and encourage hardworking, honest families who want to be part of our community to become American citizens. My wife's a lifelong Democrat. I'm a conservative Republican, proud of it. I remind everyone, I come from a bipartisan family. It was a bipartisan life. I remind everybody every day, the good Lord did not make us Democrats or Republicans. The good Lord made us in His image to do His work, to work together, help each other, make the world a better place. That's what we can do together on a bipartisan basis. We can come together, Democrats and Republicans, to solve problems, to make America stronger, to encourage immigration, and make the American dream a reality for everyone. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good morning. I'm Sergio Suarez, and it's an honor to be here representing AIMA, the North American Institute for Mexican Advancement, representing over 300 Mexican-owned businesses in Illinois. Businesses whose owners not only want to succeed in achieving integration, development, and self-sufficiency, but want to extend the same opportunity to our community. Senator Kirk was the first to call on his own party to pass a clean DHS funding bill and to protect the DAPA and DACA initiative. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Senator Kirk, for this, and to ask for your continued leadership and assistance to achieve legal status for undocumented immigrants this year. Please join me in welcoming Senator Kirk.
I am not Mark Kirk. No one would elect me to anything. But I have been asked to pose a big question to Senator Kirk. We are all grateful to you for being there every time it really counted on immigration votes. But what can you do to push some of your more staid members off their chairs and into action?
I wanted to take a moment to tell you not where I was, what I believed in, but what I actually did on immigration reform. Let me talk to you about two provisions which I've put in the final bill. One in the final bill says that if you're in the United States Army and you're not a U.S. citizen and you get a combat infantry badge, which means you've been under fire, you automatically become a United States citizen. So let me follow up. As many of you know, I was a reservist in Afghanistan. The reason why I put this in the comprehensive immigration reform bill was because I thought if we have some dreamers in a platoon in Afghanistan, and they all know about this provision in law, God help the Taliban on the other side of the valley. Let me talk about one other provision I put into that bill. It says that if you were from Poland, you do not need to apply for a visa. You can just come to the United States if you can buy the plane ticket. And my intention was to fill Chicago hotel rooms with Polish families on the holidays to make sure anybody who wants to come can just come to the largest Polish city in the world.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Toy. I'm president and CEO of the Illinois Restaurant Association. Immigrants have always been the backbone of the restaurant industry, starting with the Eastern Europeans, to the Italians, to the Greeks, to the Asians, to the Africans, to the Latinos, to the Mexicans. The restaurant industry is one of the few industries that gives all of us, especially immigrants, the opportunity to fill the American dream. Last year, Congressman Kinzinger publicly supported immigration reform with legal status just 12 days before his primary, and he crushed his opponent with over 70% of the vote. Over 70%! We want to thank you for supporting Dreamers in DACA, and we ask you to work with us to pass legal status for undocumented immigrants in 2015. We got to get this done, right, in 2015? So please welcome Adam Kinzinger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being out here. To the governor, to the Archbishop, John, thank you for everything. My fellow members of Congress and Senator Kirk, it's great to be up here with you all. My family came also, like Governor Rauners, from Germany in the 1850s. You can tell we must be related because we're the same height. Now we are. No, but it's fantastic to be here with good, pragmatic Republicans that I think, at the end of the day understand that the best thing we can do is grow our economy. That understand that the Republican Party is the party of builders, of building things, of interstate commerce, of understanding what a strong, powerful United States of America is. Like Senator Kirk, I'm also a veteran of the military, and I still serve in the military. And I've served with people that, in many cases are first-generation immigrants. And you see, in this kind of a situation, people that are fiercely and solidly dedicated to supporting, defending, and protecting the Constitution of the United States. I commend Senator Kirk for his provision in the bill. I'm a sponsor of an act that does the same thing in the House of Representatives that says if you're a dreamer serving in the military, you get legal status. I think at the end of the day, we have to come together and recognize that Republicans and Democrats have different concerns and different views, but they're not unbreachable. They're not unbridgeable. So many people are concerned about the presence of the undocumented here, as I am. But there are also people that are concerned about the security of the border. I think we can handle both of those, and I think we have an opportunity to handle both of those. So I appreciate everybody being out here. This is a very complicated issue, but one that I think it's very important to show the American people, to show the people of Illinois, and to show elected officials that the folks in the area are behind us and supportive of a comprehensive immigration package. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Todd Meisch. I'm President and CEO of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. It is an honor to be in front of you all here today. Like many of you, I also have a family history. My grandmother came through Ellis Island at the age of 4, and certainly is an incredible rich heritage that the Meisch family has enjoyed here in the nation, but also in our home, Germany as well. I'm here to introduce a very, very good friend of ours. The Illinois Chamber is proud to be one of the very first supporters of Congressman Aaron Schock back when he was running for the State House. As a guy who didn't, a lot of people thought was the underdog in that race, and was very much so, but I think he demonstrated to all of us his energy and his commitment to the issues and commitment to service by winning that race early on and then going on to Congress. He has been a consistent, strong, and early supporter of comprehensive immigration reform, and I believe because he understands that it is so important to our state's economic future, but also the economic future of our nation. Industries as varied as agriculture, manufacturing, technology, all need comprehensive immigration reform. We should celebrate the fact that the United States of America is a beacon for the rest of the nation, that people want to come here to work, establish themselves, grow their families. That should be celebrated. But we need comprehensive immigration reform to make that happen with the support of great congressmen here today, but especially Aaron Schock. We know that that's going to happen. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate your nice introduction and your good wisdom many years ago. It's an honor to be with all of you and join my good governor and colleagues in the Congress to support this important issue. As was said, I think this is an important and a personal issue for all of us. And my ancestors, too, came from Germany. And my great-grandfather came at the age of 14, the eldest of 9 children, in a home in the late 1800s that could not afford to keep him. And so he came to Chicago and began selling fruit on the streets of Chicago. His son went on to run a flower shop, Schock's Family Greenhouses in Elgin, Illinois. His son went on to go to the University of Illinois, graduate in biology, save his money for 2 years, and go to Guadalajara, Mexico to go to medical school, where my oldest sister was born, and come back and graduate from Wayne State University and practice medicine, and his youngest child is now in Congress. So we are a nation of immigrants. All of us who came because we believed America was better than where we were coming from, believed that there was more opportunity here, and believed that based on our own work ethic, energy, and determination, we could go as far as we wanted. And I believe that same immigrant spirit that was there when my great-grandfather came is the same spirit that is in each of the immigrants who continue to flock to our borders or to our seashores, wanting to live and aspire to that same American dream. I think it's important, too, that we challenge some of those within our party, my party, other parties, that we can solve this problem simply by fixing 1 or 2 items and not everything. The fact of the matter is that a secure border, a nation of laws, is important. But we also know that our visa program is broken and inadequate to the needs of both low-skill and high-skill workers. We know that we have children here that we call dreamers, that it's simply fixing visas and borders doesn't solve as well. And we also know it's naive to think that the 11 to 12 million people who are here undocumented are simply going to disappear. The American Action Network, which is a pretty conservative think tank, released a report this morning. For those that aren't familiar with that group, it was started by Doug Holtz-Eakin, which is no shrinking violet or moderate Republican. And among the findings of its report this morning was the fact that if in fact 11 to 12 million people did leave, it would cost our government roughly $400 to $600 billion to enforce it, but most tragically it would cost our GDP $1.6 trillion in a reduction. So for humanity, for our economy, and to Mr. Kunkler's point, for politics, there are so many reasons why this needs to be resolved. And I would tell you, as a Republican lawmaker, looking at the founder of our party, Abe Lincoln, whose seat I have the honor to represent in Congress, if you've not been to the most visited presidential museum in America, it's in Springfield. It's Abe Lincoln. And among the many things that I learned when I visited it was the documents around his founding of our party. And what I found most interesting was some of them were in Spanish. The founder of our party recognized that if you're going to reach out to every voter, if you're going to compete for every constituent, they've got to understand what you stand for and who you are. That is as true at the beginning of our party's founding as it is today. And for so many reasons, I stand united with my colleagues to make sure this happens. Finally, let me just say this. We're a function of who we represent. And so your participation here today, showing up and being active in and out, is key to getting this happen, to see this happen. And I would just encourage you that you see who's up at the podium today. Think about the parts of the state that aren't represented. Think about the congressional districts that aren't represented. And think about who you can activate in those districts to join this effort so that those of us who need to take these votes have the support back in our district to do so. Thank you all for being here.
Good morning. My name is Janelle Riley. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for President's Health. We are the largest Catholic healthcare system in Illinois, providing access to care to 4.5 million people. It is my honor today to introduce Congressman Bob Dole. He is a vocal leader for comprehensive immigration reform. He's been a supporter for both DACA and DAPA. He has also introduced a high-skill visa expansion bill, which will help healthcare systems like us hire the best doctors, the best nurses, and the best researchers. Please welcome Congressman Bob Dole.
Well, it is an honor to be here today, and I want to thank you all for being here. One thing that you all don't get a chance to see is that there is a timekeeper up here, and I know they mean business here in a Catholic institution when they give the Archbishop the 30 seconds and stop. I'm delighted to be up here with my colleagues, and certainly also an honor to be up here with the Archbishop, and we really appreciate your help and support. You've heard a lot today about immigration reform and how it impacts the lives of so many and how it's going to impact our economy. My good friend Aaron Schock just told you about the $1.6 trillion that it would impact our economy. Well, that's only the stuff that we know about, and what we don't know about is the additional impact that would have should we pass immigration reform to really unleash the immigrant community to come out of the shadows and be more contributing members of our community. Zeke, it's an honor to sit here today with you, to hear your story, to hear your father's story. Truly inspirational. Mr. Lawless, the same. But I want to tell you about another story, about a young woman in our district, my district. She's a high school student. Her name's Erica. Talented young lady from Mexico. She just wants an opportunity. She wants an opportunity to prove herself. Extraordinarily bright, hardworking, isn't asking for a handout in any way, shape, or form. She's going to get a full ride scholarship on her merits this next year. We want folks like Erica and millions more like her to be here in our nation. We have an opportunity to do that. So when we talk about immigration reform, it's not just our guest worker program. It's not just trying to deal with the border or the 12.5 million undocumented workers here. It's trying to fix the broken process that we have. Now, before you today, I'm proud to say that we've got a group of legislators, at least in the House, that come from the Tuesday group, what I'll call the governing caucus. Actually founded by Senator Mark Kirk, and actually co-chaired today by by Adam Kinzinger and myself, and Aaron's a proud member as well. And I will echo what Aaron said, that this is an opportunity for us to be able to reach out, not only just in Illinois, but around the country, to those members of Congress to say immigration reform is the right thing to do. We want to talk about making sure that we are that nation of immigrants. That's how our nation was founded, right? A proud nation of immigrants. And we need to be able to build on that. Because when we look across our country, we look at immigration reform, we look at how our country was built, how Chicago was built. And again, this is not just about the Latinos. You heard about the Polish immigrants. You heard about the Asian immigrants. We have so many here this fabric of our country and the fabric of the state of Illinois, I think makes us even stronger. So when people want to talk to you about immigration reform, this is not about Democratic values or Republican values. This is about American values. We talk. Bill Kunkler got up here and talked a little bit before about the political ramifications. Well, I want to take the political ramifications out of the equation altogether. Let's focus on the economic. Let's focus on the moral. Let's focus on what makes us so strong as Americans. The people that flock here, that will go through almost anything to come to this land, this nation of opportunity to fulfill the American dream, makes us who we are, makes our country so special. So this is an opportunity for us, yes, in the United States Congress, but my charge again to all of you is to make sure we're reaching out to those other districts where Republicans and Democrats can join hands and talk about how we finally move forward with an immigration bill that we can all be proud of. Thank you so much.
I'm now going to ask some questions to the panel, and I'll try to start each one with one of our members, but obviously all are invited to comment. But let me start with Senator Kirk and Archbishop Cupich. Americans are very concerned about internal security. We worry about terrorism, but then we have a long history of doing things for security that both don't work and turn out to be very unfair. And so, Senator, if you would start, and then I'll turn to the Archbishop. Do you have some thoughts on how we actually improve security without being unfair?
Let me give you the killer arguments that I think should work with every extreme right-wing voter you see on behalf of immigration reform. I would make the argument, especially looking at Chicago history, that the free and open society will always deploy a much stronger military than a closed society. That argument applies to Chicagoland. When Mussolini copied the Nuremberg laws, he made the life of Enrico Fermi's Jewish wife impossible in Italy. And Enrico Fermi came to Chicago and built the first nuclear reactor. Because he was so good at it, the United States was able to make a Manhattan Project bomb that actually worked, that won the war. So the argument that I would put forward is a free and open society will always be much more militarily stronger than a closed society. If you are for national security, the strength of everybody that Bob was talking about, all those highly educated people, I am for brain draining the planet in favor of the United States to make sure everybody with skills can come here. That makes our economy sing.
Archbishop?
Thank you. I think we need to be serious about security, but on multiple levels. We have millions of people here that we have absolutely no way of knowing who they are. They're living in the shadows. And the deportation policy that has gone on splits up families. That creates a security issue when the fabric of families and communities are disrupted. We also know that when people become desperate, crime rises in society. And so we need to make sure that by having a documented worker visa force within our country, we will be able to secure the situation that already we're experiencing. So it's not just a matter of border control in terms of security. It's about whether or not we have a secure society where people are allowed to work to their greatest capacity to contribute to society rather than having to live in the shadows, hide in secret, and many times be the victims of disintegrated families. So I think that is part of the security issue too.
Governor, do you wish to add anything on that point?
I'll say this. We need comprehensive solution. I'm very troubled by the piecemeal approach that's being advocated right now. We need a comprehensive solution. And this is, and I'll echo the point too, this is not about Democrats or Republicans, this is about America. America is about freedom, it's about opportunity. We've got to make that a reality for everyone. We are the beacon of the world. We should cherish and celebrate our role as a beacon of hope for people from around the world to come. My role as governor is to make sure everyone here has their chance at the American dream. That's the reason I will invest significantly in our education system. I want world-class schools in every community for every child to be all they can be. And I want to bring back vocational training back into our school systems so our young people are trained for the jobs that are available in today's economy. And with your help, I want to reallocate the money from the government bureaucracy and into our social services for our immigrant families, for our disadvantaged, and for those who are vulnerable and of low income. We need to take the money out of the government bureaucracy, put it into the social services and into our education system. Won't come easily, but we can get it done this year, and then we will have this proper support for the families who are here, who need our support, so they can realize the American dream too.
I think you all should know that Governor Rauner doesn't just talk that way. Before he was elected, he has supported, to my knowledge, at least 4 charter schools with very substantial amounts of his own money. His heart and his wallet have been there ahead of the words. On the economic issues, Congressman, we talked about them in general terms. Aaron, Bob, do you have anything that you'd want to throw in more specifically on how you think immigration helps the economy?
Well, I would just say from my district in central Illinois, we're home to the largest employer in Illinois, which thankfully just announced they're building a new world headquarters in Peoria, Caterpillar, and staying in Illinois. And they need, when I meet with Doug Oberhelman, who is a member of IBIC the last several years, they know immigration reform is key because they have trouble getting high-skilled workers. They're an international company with over 100,000 employees globally. And so the visa program and the problem with the visa program are real and a daily challenge for them. I also have my largest economy is agriculture, and I have the largest pork-producing facility in the world. They slaughter over 100,000 hogs a week. In Beardstown, Illinois, about 3,000 immigrants work at that facility, about half of them Spanish-speaking, about half of them French-speaking West Africans. And the issue for legal immigration in that city, in my district, while it's a small city, is extremely important. So I have a lot of diversity, both in high skill and low skill. And you know, you can talk about it in economic terms, but I think at the end of the day, it's human terms that ultimately get people to hopefully move in the right direction. As I mentioned earlier, the study of 1.6 trillion reduction in GDP, if we theoretically kicked out 11 million people, that would be felt not only by Caterpillar, it would be felt by the pork producers in my district in southern Illinois. So it's a real challenge, it's a real problem, and we've got to solve it soon, or my fear is there's going to be a significant economic impact to the negative felt in my district and I think across the country.
I would start out by saying that, I can just bring it back to the 10th district in Illinois, which is just north. We've got 18 Fortune 500 companies. It's the 3rd largest manufacturing district in the nation. And when I sit and talk to people, they say, I've got jobs available, I can't find people skilled to take the jobs I have available today. And yet, as we look at the high skilled, we're educating the best and the brightest from all over the world. They're coming to the United States because we have some of the finest institutions in the world. And as soon as they graduate with that master's degree or PhD, what do? We kick them out to go compete against us, which to a certain extent is maddening. We want to say, no, we want you to stay here. We want you to innovate here, create the next new patent here, help create more American jobs right here. That's on the high-skilled side, and I've got a bill that I just introduced called the Startup Act, again, trying to rectify and solve that problem. But I also have folks that are part of a guest worker program.
And frankly, if we don't update that guest worker program, we are going to significantly impact the local economy. People think it only impacts, certain communities or certain areas down in the South. No, we need those guest worker programs all over our country. We need to fix our immigration system because it's going to impact local communities, local jobs, and it will have a real economic impact, John.
Senator, do you want to chip in on this one?
Let me talk about current politics lately. Lately, I was very critical of my House Republican colleagues who attached some immigration riders to the funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. When I was asked, do you have a message to the Republicans in the House, I decided to bring a little Chicago straight talk to the Senate. I said, what we should do is offer House Republicans a straw on this issue. And they said, what for what? So they could suck it up. I really hope that we stop this policy of attaching really controversial items to essential parts of the government, which should not stop.
Archbishop, I believe you had a comment?
And the only thing that I wondered is, we know that we are a representative government, and from all surveys that have been done and discussion, the Senate did pass a bill some years ago. It has never been brought to Congress to vote on. And the full House has not had a chance to actually vote on that bill. It seems to me there has to be discussion at least about that point. Because if, in fact, we're really a representative government in this country, then the full membership on such an important issue should be able to discuss this issue and vote on that piece of legislation, up or down, one way or another.
And while you have the mic, would you absolve our poor timekeeper for doing her job? Well, we're almost at the end of our time. We have one more thing left. I just want to say that there are days when this issue makes me ashamed to be a Republican. This is one of those days when it makes me proud to be a Republican. But just in a spirit of momentary objectivity, I have to say that one of the people we haven't mentioned here today is Congressman Luis Gutierrez. And there is simply no one in either party who has labored as diligently and as honestly to get this done. Even our most conservative Republicans will say, Luis has been honest, he wants a bill, not an issue. So I want to add my particular thanks to Luis. And with that, I'll bring Josh Hoyt up. Josh is not a Republican, and for reasons that transcend my imagination, we have given him the close.
I am a co-chair of this organization, and I am a Yellow Dog Democrat, but since we're in a Catholic institution, I will confess that I did vote for Tom Cross because he earned it. So this has been a very productive morning during what we have to admit is a very difficult time. At both the state and the federal level, we are in a period of extreme polarization. The budget debates here in the state are very painful. The local politics here in Chicago is at a full boil. And the federal immigration debate is taking place in a poisonous atmosphere. This is a coalition. IBEC is a coalition. It does include Republicans. It does include Democrats. It includes trade associations, immigrant associations, chambers of commerce, corporations. And some come for these economic arguments, others come for political arguments, many come also for moral arguments. This means that we have to debate difficult issues like how to respond to the president's executive action about the budget cuts at the state, how they affect immigrants and the businesses and organizations that work with them. But we acknowledge our differences, we share our strengths, we build out towards a path for immigration reform, even at difficult moments like this. We are building a shared platform for immigration reform. We know that that is hard. It requires patience, it requires courage, and it requires a sense of humor. It's very nice to be able to do it with a superb executive director like Rebecca Shee, who helped to put this together. Thank you. So today we would like to very much thank Archbishop Cupich for the moral clarity and the challenge that he brought us today. As a Roman Catholic, you make me proud. We'd like to thank Congressman Schock, Congressman Kinzinger, Congressman Dold for joining us, for speaking out, and I would personally like to thank Senator Kirk. In the past, we have been bitter adversaries. I would like to thank you for the leadership that you are showing. We would like to thank Governor Rauner for becoming a powerful Republican governor voice for immigration reform, and also for saying yes to the meeting with Carmen Velasquez on the state issues. She's very hard to say no to. So we would like everybody in this room to act. And you can act in a couple of ways. First of all, bring your passion, bring your values, bring your hard work, your courage, your sense of humor, and your money to this organization so that it can be stronger. The votes to pass immigration reform exist on both sides of the aisle in Congress. We ask people to take action, to join with us in taking action to make sure that that vote can be taken. We also ask for your contributions. We would like to thank everybody very much, and let's work together, let's act together for justice for immigrants.
Thank you, Josh. To close out this wonderful celebration, we're asking Archbishop Cupich to do a closing prayer.
Good and faithful God, we hear in your word that we are to be a people who look out for the alien, the foreigner, because your people were once aliens and foreigners. Let that reminder humble our hearts. The undocumented, those who are struggling as immigrants, that we see ourselves. We see brothers and sisters. We see our ancestors who have come to this country as well. And let that humility spill over into acts of charity, but also justice. That we remember that we have been called to treat others as we would like to be treated, to love as you love. Bless our efforts. Move the hearts of all of those who work for this important work ahead of us to be steadfast, but also be close to the immigrant, those who struggle to raise their families, to find work, to better their life. We ask all of this in faith. Amen.
Thank you all for coming.